Ross Gerber, President, CEO, Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management. So before I get to Tesla, I mean, we have to state the obvious. We have Twitter right here at the New York Stock Exchange. I was here for the IPO. I was here for the big announcement of 5420. And I was standing at the posters a short time ago waiting for the NYSE to give the approval to go ahead and reopen this for trading. What are your thoughts? Do you think this goes through? It certainly sounds like it. And is this a good thing?
Well, I thought from the beginning that this was going to go through, and it's been an incredibly difficult and painful experience, this whole Twitter experience. So what I've heard so far is that he sent a letter and he intends on completing the purchase, and he wants to avoid the deposition he's supposed to take in a couple days. And I certainly understand why he'd want to avoid that. And we certainly thought there'd be some settlement in the outcome, but this was the outcome that I did not expect for many reasons. And I think it's a bad outcome for Elon and Twitter.
Why is that?
Well, I think mostly because, he's really kind of botched this whole purchase, and he's made it very clear that he's not happy with what is going on at Twitter. And the people at Twitter don't really want to work for Elon, and he's really kind of put a bad pall over the whole company. So most of the people at Twitter that have the potential for better futures have already left or are leaving. And this is dragged on for months and months without any certainty. And so there's a lot of opportunity for tech employees and other companies right now. And so, there's not much left of Twitter that he's actually acquiring, and he's paying a huge premium for a company that's severely wounded.
Right. Understood. What does it mean for Tesla?
Well,
excuse me.
Bless you. The best part for Tesla is just being done with this purchase. It's such a distraction. It involved several sales of substantial amount of stock that put an overhang on the stock, which then will be released. And then lastly, nobody at Tesla really wants to deal with Twitter anymore. So it's like being done with this, sort of takes this deal overhang out of the stock. But on a material level, Twitter is one of the better ad platforms for Tesla, actually. So that's an advantage of Elon controlling that platform.
Right, understood. In the meantime, I mean, it's at 247 today for Tesla, and those deliveries were record number of deliveries. I know they were about 20,000 short of the analyst estimates, but I think most people who are Tesla fans were impressed, right? What does it mean going forward?
Yeah, I mean, like if you had a choice to buy Twitter or Tesla, it's like a no-brainer, right? Like Tesla's breaking every record and people are forgetting these are electric vehicles. These aren't just regular vehicles. And when you look at their numbers, they're phenomenal, and they're just getting the ramp going. So the demand for the vehicles is huge. And the fact that China's in a recession and they had to put some cars on a boat and ship them to Australia or somewhere else is just part of running a global business. So I think investors really need to focus on the long term, as they always have with Tesla. And between the robot announcement and sort of launch over the next 5 years, and then when you look at the products and services that are being released in the next year, Tesla is the most exciting and consequential company of our time, and investors really need to take a look at the stock down here, because I think it's a great opportunity with the valuation as low as this, even though it's a stock that has high volatility and risk.
Look, this is a recent low. I mean, basically, I see it. It looks like it's going back to levels that we haven't seen since July, around 247-ish, right? So where do you think it really could go?
Well, it's all about earnings, and it's really hard to predict next year because of China most likely, still being in a recession. So we're hoping that China changes policies early next year, which is what we've seen indicated, which would definitely help sales in China of all cars and such. So we think Tesla will do anywhere from $6 to $8 in earnings next year. And then if you assign a multiple of 50 to that, you get $300 to $400 a share. So that's where we suspect Tesla will be at some point next year, is in the $300 to $400 a share. So investors looking at $250 here have a very nice upside opportunity. And that's just on the short term. If you start going out a few more years and what their earnings potential is and cash flow, it's massive. So, once again, this is a really great opportunity for investors who have a long-term focus.
Yeah, and you like the gigafactories and the Cybertruck and the robots that are involved with the company. And you've always been on with me talking about being an Elon Musk fan and his vision and believing in what he was doing. It's very interesting how, and by the way, I remember when you said this goes through. If he says he's doing it, he's really going to push through and do it. That's his plan, and it certainly seems like he's doing it. There must be, some upside, because you said, would you buy Twitter here today at these levels? I mean, or at any point in the near future, unless something changes, or not so much?
No, I don't. I sold my Twitter and it was a bad experience, even though it turns out I might be right about the outcome. When you're a billionaire, one of the first things you do is you buy a media property. And that's the way it works. And if you look at most of the newspapers across the world in the country, they're owned by billionaires, from the Wall Street Journal to the LA Times. And that's the way they push their opinions. Elon's just one upped all the billionaires who own these old papers by buying the modern news agency. And it doesn't matter whether he makes money or not on Twitter. What matters, he now controls the most important media property in the world.
And the narrative. If you love Tesla, which you do, and you're excited about all the intricacies of all the things we've discussed, I want to say the geeky stuff, which I love, and I talk about myself in the same way, because I love all the details of what comes with these EV cars. Do you like any of the other EV makers?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And in fact, in my fund, GK, we've broadened out our investment into Rivian. We've just added, we added BYD, and we've added Polestar. So these are 3 other EV makers that I think are great opportunities for long-term investors. So we love the EV business, and we're investing broadly.
All right. Well, I'm waiting for the post here. We're going to have a reopening, hopefully by the end of the day, I would have to assume. But I've been standing by the post for hours, feels like, Ross, until this reopens. We'll get more and more news as it breaks. Ross Gerber, President, CEO, Gerber Kawasaki. I'm so glad you were able to be with us on such an important day. Thank you. Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management. Ross Gerber, thanks.